Hello, welcome to the lesson today on hobbies in English. I would like to thank everyone for joining and for being a part of the lesson today. I hope you're all having a good week and enjoying the cooler weather in Paris right now. Thank you again, as always. I hope you're all staying safe in Paris. You're washing your hands, you're doing some exercise at home, you're learning something new. And again, thank you very much for the class, and hello to everyone who is writing in the chat. So very quickly, another quick word about our company. We're Cercle, we're based in Paris, and our job is to help you improve your English as much as we can. So my job here is to try and encourage everyone here to write in English and to make sentences in English. And if you have any questions, if it's about pronunciation, if it's about grammar or vocabulary, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to help out. And yes, hello to everyone. I see Paige has written, I think your plants behind have grown. I think they're dead, Paige. I think I need to go out and buy some new plants. I'm not very good at keeping them alive. So let's get started. The lesson today I thought could be a fun one, something that we often talk about with our friends, with our family, and with people we just meet on holiday. And of course, that topic is hobbies. So I'd also love to learn more about your hobbies and everyone in the chat here. Again, it's really nice to have a lovely community of students who try really hard and are very polite on the chat. So hopefully I can learn more about you and you can learn more about me in this lesson. So normally I started with a fact, but I would like to give you some facts and I think they're really interesting. So since we're talking about hobbies, these facts will be related to certain hobbies. So, language learners, like everyone in the chat here, are less likely to develop mental diseases later on, such as Alzheimer's. So, it's very beneficial for the brain. It's really good to learn new things, such as a language. In addition to this, drawing and listening can increase your memory by 30%, which is a massive number, of course. So if you love drawing like me, maybe you're not very good like me, but if you do something creative, it really helps you memorize different words or memorize different things in your language. And my last fact is the act of cooking can help increase problem solving. So trying different ingredients is really beneficial and it can really help you solve problems. Now, I'm not a very good cook. I need to try new things all the time. So let's get started on the lesson. And I wanted to start with a question. So my first question of the lesson today is, what is a hobby? Okay, I'm going to write it in the chat as well. But I would love to hear your opinions and your ideas of what a hobby is. So if you could write a sentence for me describing what a hobby is, that would be fantastic. So Liliana has written about a hobby of hers that she used to do. Diving is a fantastic hobby, Liliana, and I think it's a different world underwater. Seeing fish so close is a beautiful experience, and I encourage everyone to have a go at diving. It's really enjoyable. So let's have a look at some suggestions at what a hobby is from some other students. Elodie has written here, a hobby is a nice occupation. That's a fantastic sentence, Elodie. An occupation is normally a word we use for a job, a responsibility. But yes, a hobby is a type of creative occupation. Let's have a look at some other suggestions. Jamel has written the hobby. A hobby is something you like to do. Yeah, fantastic. Hobbies are fun and it makes us more interesting people when we talk about different hobbies that we have. It's fantastic, Jamel. Thank you. Nana has written, a hobby is a thing we do in our free time. That's fantastic, Nana. So now we have a lot of free time. There's loads of time to start new hobbies and new adventures. And hopefully, everyone can find some encouragement for new hobbies in the lesson today. And just quickly reading through a couple of other suggestions. Corinne, hello, Corinne, has written here, it's a thing, a sport, a thing that you have fun with. I completely agree. Okay, so thank you all for your answers. I think you're all correct. It's something fun. It's something we do in our free time, and it's a bit like a creative occupation. So my next question is, now we've talked about what a hobby is what kinds of hobby do we have? So there are loads of different kinds of hobbies. And I think my job today is to help you explain your hobby in as much detail as possible. For me, I love sharing my hobbies and I love to talk about them. I think I'm very passionate about my hobbies and what I do. So when I talk to a friend or I talk to my family, I do enjoy sharing my experiences of my personal hobbies. It shows them what I have been doing, and I think it's a really interesting conversation. So there are loads of different hobbies. We're going to try and talk about specific verbs for particular hobbies, and then we're going to try and talk about some vocabulary for some hobbies too. So Hamza has written here sport, music, and culture. Fantastic. I think sport is one of the most common hobbies that people have. I believe the reason for this is it's important to stay healthy, to be active, and going for a run or going for a walk is exercise. It is sport. Even yoga is a sport. It's less active, but it allows you to calm down and be mentally healthy. It relieves you of your problems. Fantastic, Hamza. Thank you for that. Elodie has written here, I have artistic hobbies because I love to create. I'm exactly the same as you, Elodie. I love photography and I love music. I'd love to hear what your creative hobbies are. Catherine here has written cultural hobbies like going to museums. I think that's a fantastic answer again, Catherine, especially here in Paris. There are thousands of museums, and it's very interesting to learn about history. I think my favorite museum in Paris is, I know it sounds cliche, but the Louvre. I think it has some magnificent pieces. And for me, seeing the Mona Lisa was a very unique moment. So I definitely agree with you, Catherine. Afaf has written, we have mental and physical hobbies. And I'm seeing a lot of the similar hobbies here. We have sport, culture, like museums. We have time with friends and family, cinema, reading. I have some more written down here. We have cooking. We have drawing or painting. Music. Is it listening to music? Are you making music? Are you playing music? I have socializing with friends. A lot of my friends love to go out and catch up with each other, go to a museum together. Socializing is also very important for a lot of people. Photography, one of my favorite ones. Films. I love talking about films and the different kinds of films and genres that there are. Computers, games, yoga, traveling, and of course, language. Everyone has so many hobbies, and it's fantastic to see we have some really talented people in the lesson today. So, I would like to go through and perhaps help your understanding and explanation of your own hobbies. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different hobbies, and I'm going to ask different questions. So, again, it's going to be a very interactive lesson. I'm going to try and ask you about different topics, and I'd like you to create really interesting sentences. And then I'm going to be here to help structure these sentences. So, let's get started. I saw that in the comments here, a lot of the students here wrote down sport. So can everyone maybe write a sentence to describe their hobby which is related to sport? Remember, try to include different vocabulary, different verbs. You can talk about tenses, maybe before. Last year, I loved rugby, but then I became more interested in tennis. Okay, so you can even use tenses. I would like to learn how to play cricket. I would like to play cricket in the future. Let's have a look at some suggestions that are being written down in the chat. So Corinne has written here, I practice yoga, for example. Exactly. And I think this is the perfect verb we can use for yoga. We don't say we practice in football or we practice in rugby. You can train in football. You can have practice sessions or training sessions, as we call them in English. But if you use practice as a verb, we often refer to non-physical sports such as yoga. It's very personal, you're by yourself, and it's very calming. So I practice yoga is a fantastic example, Corinne. Ania has written down a fantastic hobby of mine too, skiing. We're very unfortunate in England that we don't have beautiful mountains as you do in France in the Alps. But yeah, skiing is a fantastic sport. Skiing and snowboarding. I feel like the structure of that sentence is very easy. I like to ski. I enjoy skiing or snowboarding. Fantastic. Hamza has written here, sport is very important because it helps us stay healthy mentally and physically. Fantastic, Hamza. I really like that sentence and I definitely agree. So, Elodie, so not everyone likes sports, and I remember that you said you liked creative hobbies, and I am just like you as well. So, let's have a look at some other sentences. Kath- Catherine has written down a fantastic sentence here. I am fond of sports. When you say I am fond of something, it can be about an object, a thing, a person. It means you like that thing. So Catherine likes sports, and she's worded that in this sentence. I am fond of sports, and I miss swimming at the moment. Of course, everyone's inside, and it's difficult to maintain that active lifestyle. But I still run twice a week and I can't wait to go running with my friends in the forest. That sounds fantastic, Catherine, and I hope you get the opportunity to do so again soon. I would just like to point out something very quickly. I also think that a very common mistake in English is when we're referring to how many times we do an activity or we do a verb. In English, if you're referring to the time frame of 1 week, and let's use running as an example for the verb I'm trying to describe, if I run one time in 1 week, we use the word once for one time. Okay, you sound more like a native when you say I run once a week. It doesn't sound as professional if you say I run one time in the week. It doesn't really make much sense. So if you do one thing one time, we say I do this once a week. If you do it 2 times in the same period, we say twice a week. I go running twice a week on Monday and Friday. And then if you go more than 2 times, 3, 4, or 5, you just say, I go running 4 times a week. Okay, well, we have a fantastic response for this question. And thank you all for your comments. So Aline has written here, I practice Zumba, and she practices African dance. That's fantastic. Liliana likes to go climbing. She goes with her son in Paris. That's fantastic. And yeah, Charlotte plays handball. That's a very popular hobby in France. I never had the opportunity to play, but I would love to. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, as I'd like to cover as much vocabulary as possible. And again, I think it's really good if you read the different comments in the chat. We have some really interesting hobbies, and hopefully you can learn something from the students too, and not just me. So let's have a look. We've talked about sports. I think something which I talk a lot about with my students is cooking. Okay, this is maybe, in some people's opinion, this is not a hobby. It's more of a chore, a task. I thoroughly enjoy cooking, even though the English are not known for cooking. I don't do fish and chips. I love to make pasta. I like to bake. I bake cakes a lot. I try some English desserts. I also like to try French food. So I guess this hobby could also be cooking and eating. I like to eat out. If you say in English you eat out, it refers to the action of eating at a restaurant, eating outside of your home. On the contrary, if you say I am eating in, you're referring to eating in your house. So perhaps you or a family member has cooked. So what sentences can you think of for cooking or eating? I helped you out at the beginning there, so you can use my sentences for inspiration. So let's have a look at some suggestions. Okay, we have a new student. Thank you very much for your comment. My hobby is learning English once per day. That's a fantastic sentence, and I hope you learned something new today. Jamel has written here, I practice sports every day between 1 and 3 hours. Okay, I'm still reading the sports sentences, but fantastic, Jamel. You've used your time frame very well, and I'm happy to see you're being active. Okay, we're in the cooking sentences now. Hamza loves cooking also. So what kind of things do you cook, Hamza? What techniques? Do you fry? Do you bake? Do you prepare? We use prepare for a salad, something that you don't cook. Thinking about things that I prepare, I'm not a very good cook, so I can't list many things that I've prepared. Let's have a look for some inspiration in the chat. So Liliana loves making all kinds of cakes, and she does it every week. Fantastic. Let's have a look at some other suggestions. Paige has written, I don't do sports all day, or we say every day. So I do elliptical biking every other day. That's really interesting, Paige. And you're the first person I've met who does elliptical biking. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get to practice biking again soon. Virginie here has written, I don't like cooking, but I must cook for my family. even if my husband is a better cook than me. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't always enjoy the hobby, but it's necessary that we do this. Okay, let's have a look at some other suggestions. So Jamal has talked about baking. For those of you who are unaware what baking means, it's the verb we use for cakes and bread. We can also use it for pasta. There is a common recipe in English called the pasta bake, and essentially it's when you cook all of your pasta in a bowl, and then you you cook the pasta and you cook the vegetables, and then you put it in the oven for maybe 30 minutes with cheese on top, and that hardens hardens the pasta so it becomes crispy. So hopefully there is some new vocabulary in that sentence which you can use. Okay, Charlotte's made cookies. I hope we can try some of those one day, Charlotte. Monique is preparing rum with tropical fruits. Fantastic. So we also talk about preparing drinks. I prepare a smoothie in the morning because I think it's really healthy and it's a good way to start the day. Alessandro cooks for his girlfriend sometimes. That's very kind of you, Alessandro. Okay, fantastic. We have some excellent sentences here again. Let's talk about one more, and then I have more specific questions for all of you. So, I'm very passionate about photography, and I'd love to learn who else is in the chat. So, the next topic I'd like to talk about is photography. What do you like to take photographs of? Do you enjoy going to museums to see photography? Do you take photos? Do you enjoy looking at photos? Okay, taking a picture, printing your camera, preparing film. You can review your images. You can edit your images. There are loads of different vocabulary and phrases which you can use for each specific hobby. And my aim for this lesson is to show you and to try and express the different ways you can talk about particular hobbies. So let's have a look at some suggestions in the chat. Elodie has written here, on the wall in my childhood room, there are many photographs of animals. Fantastic, Elodie. And my mum recently sent me lots of photos when I was a child. And they're very funny. It's nice to visit past times. So Hamza loves photography too. Fantastic, Hamza. What do you take photographs of? Corinne likes to photograph animals like lions. That's really interesting, Corinne. And I love to see animals in their wild habitat, much like Liliana earlier when she went diving. I think it's really interesting. Dolphin takes photos of food. That's also a fantastic hobby. There are so many things you can take photographs of, and it's really a really good practice. Alessandro has made a fantastic point here too. Loads of people take photos to make memories. Remember the lesson of do and make? If we're referring to a memory, we use the verb make, and photographs are a fantastic way to make memories, okay? Because you can look at one and remember the experience that you had. Okay, I'm going to move on now, but thank you all for writing in the chat. I would love to read all of them, but unfortunately we don't have enough time, but thank you again. My question for you is, I think we've talked about most of these. Let me find one below. Yes, here we go. What hobby would you like to start? So we have loads of time now, and hopefully not only in this lesson can you learn some vocabulary and grammar, but hopefully we can also take inspiration and start a new hobby. Again, we do these lessons to try and encourage you and to to make this confinement a positive experience for you all. So, what hobbies would you like to start and why? Perhaps I can write it in the chat too. What hobby would you like to start and why? So I would like to give an example to help all of you. I would like to learn I would like to learn how to cook. I do cook every day, but I would like to learn some new recipes and perhaps some new techniques. My mum is a very skilled cook and I miss her cooking. Mine is never going to be as good. So I would like to learn how to cook better because I think it's an important skill to have. And of course, we eat every day, and it's important to eat healthily and to enjoy what you're eating. So let's have a look at some examples in the chat. Catherine would like to learn how to sew clothes. That's a fantastic answer, Catherine. And I hope you have the opportunity to in the confinement. So sewing is the action of having a needle, a really sharp piece of metal, which is very small, and you use it to sew clothes. So maybe I have a hole in my shirt here. Okay, I need to sew the hole shut. Okay, so sewing is the verb we use to describe manipulating fabrics and fixing items of clothing. I can see we're a very determined group of students. Everyone wants to start a new hobby, which is fantastic. So Monique wants to learn a new language. That's fantastic. And I hope you have the time to learn that language, Monique. Elaine would like to do some wingsuit. That sounds very dangerous, Elaine, but I hope you stay safe. And it looks like a very interesting hobby. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, but Sarah would like to start playing the piano, and I love music. It's very inspirational, and I think it's a hobby which you can share with other people. And I think it's really important to share your hobbies and your interests with others. So good luck with the piano. Corinne likes to photograph birds. Fantastic. Paige would like to learn how to drive a little boat. Yeah, we talked about nature before, and obviously experiencing. I assume that a lot of students in this chat can drive a car, but driving a boat is a completely different experience and one that I would love to try too. Hamza started playing the piano in the confinement. And that's fantastic, Hamza. What 5 songs can you play? I'd love to know more. Dolphine has written here she'd love to learn English to travel and work in a foreign country. That's definitely correct. English is a very well-known language, and we're very fortunate to be learning it because the majority of people do speak English. And yeah, everyone has written some fantastic answers, and I apologize again for not having the chance to read them all. But I'd like to do another quick exercise before we finish. So we haven't done a game for a while. We've had loads of boring grammar lessons. We've had loads of boring vocabulary lessons. So I'd like to finish with just a fun game to finish the lesson. So what I'm going to do is you're going to see some of my fantastic drawing again. And I'd like you to guess the hobby which I'm drawing on the board. And the first person to guess it is the winner. I'm sorry I don't have a prize today, but you'll be labeled as the winner. Okay, so I'm going to draw something on the board. Okay. Okay, I should show you at the same time. So what hobby is this? Okay. So no one's written anything yet. Hopefully it's not my drawing. Okay, that's yeah, fantastic. Okay, well done, Afaf. So this is supposed to be a cake. It's not very good, and we have a pain au chocolat. So yeah, it makes it more difficult if you can't see the drawing, I think. So I'm drawing badly on purpose. So let's try another exercise. Okay. Okay, this is very easy. I can't make a mistake with this one. So what hobby am I trying to describe with this drawing? Who's going to be first? Okay, Catherine, well done, fantastic. Yes, so of course, these are musical notes. Okay, so fantastic. Let's try one more to give everyone a chance. Maybe Catherine and Afaf have a really fast connection, so it's unfair on the rest of the students. So let's try one more. I think it's good for me to practice my my drawing too. Okay, let's try this one here. Okay, it's difficult to draw when the board is not on the table. Okay, I think that's a good enough drawing. A couple of dials and buttons. So what do you think this hobby is? A camera. Fantastic, Alessandro. Yes. So traveling, photography. Yeah, my favorite hobby. And yeah, well done for everyone who had the correct answer. I noticed that Hamza wrote that she was first. I apologize if I misread one of the answers, but yes, you're all correct. And I think that finishes the lesson on hobbies today. So thank you everyone again for taking part. It was fantastic to learn more about you and your hobbies. And hopefully, this lesson was a bit of fun, and hopefully, you learned how to explain your hobbies more clearly. I hope you have a fantastic day and enjoy your evening. And we have a lesson tomorrow at 3 p.m. again. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to our channel, and we try to give free lessons every day. Thank you again, everyone, and I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.